I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
He was gobbling fucking wieners and buns.
I'm gonna go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's gonna happen on Saturday.
Welcome back. This week's MMA Analysis. We almost got a full house, as you would expect. Another Lance Fishel absence after he made a very brief return. We're actually recording during the Dana White Contender series, so if you hear some oohs and ahs, that's what it's in reference to, I'd imagine. If you hear Wes going crazy, he probably made some money, just like maybe now. We'll start it off with the Canadian sidekick this week. New Sean, what's happening? What outpost are you at this week?
I'm actually recording from home on back-to-back weeks. It's a fucking crazy time. I just got back from a 3-hour road trip from working and back at home.
I mean, 3 hours in Canada doesn't really get you very far.
No, that's true.
Whether that's by flight or by car.
That is correct.
Wes, we got through a round of the first fight of this show. Give me your initial thoughts.
Man, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Iger or or whatever the hell. Idge. Man, he's looked really good. I'm really impressed and happily impressed at some of the fights that we've gotten on this Tuesday night, these fight cards so far, man. I think we enjoy them quite a bit, Jay. Me and you talked about it for quite a while about getting weeknight fights, and
yeah,
if they can be this good every week, I'm all for them. And not to mention, you can watch Snoop get drunk and high and smoke weed with fighters and shit after the show. So that's kind of cool too.
Speaking of Snoop, we got one California man joining us this week. Do you have on the California Kid on your Snoopcast, Dougie?
I do indeed.
Oh, I would imagine you would.
Because I've never watched this before. Because I've always been at a class or something, and when I turned it on, they're like fully pouring gin and juices, and I was like, wait, what is? They I was on the other cast, and they switched to talk to them for a second. I was like, oh, I gotta switch to them. This is way better.
Yeah.
Last week after the fights were over, Snoop goes in the back with this one kid O'Malley that they signed, and literally are smoking big joints of dro back there after the show.
With him?
Yeah, with the fighter. Yeah, the dude.
Does he want to fight? Does he want to fight anytime soon?
He is a pot smoker, but they're at the UFC gym in the back where they're filming this shit, and Snoop's blazing out with fighters and shit. Jeff Nowinski of fucking whatchamacallit, the drug testing place, his ears are just rattling. Gotta get over to the UFC gym. That's
wild. That is wild.
These guys aren't getting tested by you, son.
Nah, hell no.
It's after the fight. Who cares?
Yeah, we're trying to see good fights. They're not trying to test these guys.
No, not at all. Got a lot of fights to talk about this week. Big fight card last week. We'll start there. No need for any other nonsense. Let's just talk last week's fight card. 5-fight preliminary UFC Fight Pass card. Started with Chris Wade beating Frankie Perez by decision. Shane Burgos beat Hot Magma by decision. Junior Albini knocks out Big Dick Johnson.
Yeesh.
Yeah, yeesh is right. Marlon Vera with the submission specialist, and Brian Kelleher. And then the head of that Fight Pass card, Jeremy Kennedy, the newest Canadian prospect, beats Kyle Bochniak by decision. New Sean, I'll start with you. Couple thoughts on these 5 fights?
Wade and Perez, I'm pretty sure you said the over in that was going to be the easiest bet of the card, and it definitely was.
Of course I didn't bet it. But
you didn't bet it? What the fuck?
No, I'm an idiot.
Well, I
got preoccupied on the day of, and it was brutal.
And why did they even book Pepe if it's not in Brazil? Like, what the fuck is the point of that? Just book him for every Brazil card, because when he's not in Brazil, you know what's going to happen, and it's not fun to watch. We need the magma. The magma occurs in Brazil, so leave him in Brazil. Yeah, Timmy Bignick. That was a rough one. He got cracked pretty good there. Albini, I mean, he looked like he had some skills. He was throwing some pretty cool, like, overhand elbows and stuff like that. I don't think any of them landed, but I don't know. Who knows? He's a heavyweight. It could be nothing, but new blood isn't a bad thing. That was a slick armbar from Marlon Vera, switching from he's reversing it with the Kimura into the armbar. That was slick, and I don't give a fuck about Jeremy Kennedy.
Yeah. Wes, I'll ask you these questions. I'll tell you a fighter's name. You tell me pretender or contender. Shane Burgos.
Contender.
Junior Albini.
Oh, trash can. Like, seriously, come on, man. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I give it. He caught a guy, but it's heavyweights, man.
You can catch anybody.
Yo, that shit happens, man. And like, we've seen Timmy rock before too. I mean, it ain't like the guy's got some granite chin or something. But yeah, as far as the other fights, yeah, you're right on that over. That Chris Wade, Frankie Perez over. It got kind of dicey there a couple of times, but we'll say about Chris Wade, I know he had a lot of hype, and he's got a really good like skill set, but it's like a very one-dimensional skill set, and that dude's hands like have not improved much over the past couple of years, and I just don't see him doing what a lot of people thought he was going to be able to do with that stud wrestling and cardio that he has. But yeah, Burgos, man, I think he's real, dude. I know it's Pepe, but Pepe was in that fight, man. It ain't like, I thought Burgos played, pretty loose on the feet. He didn't go down to the ground, of course, till like the end of a couple rounds. But man, I think he might be pretty good, dude. Yeah, and Vera at 2-1, that was just a really puzzling line. I hammered that pretty good. Like Sean said, slick armbar, looked really good, and kind of surprised my dude Sean over here ain't a little bit more hyped about Jeremy Kennedy. I think that kid might be pretty decent.
Finish some fights.
Yeah, we'll see. He needs to definitely fight some better competition. But man, that's a pretty good top game he's got, man. So who knows? We'll see.
Now, Dougie, I know this topic means a lot to you. Is Jeremy Kennedy really the next Canadian prospect?
I feel really bad for Canada. I mean, like,
we're fine. Like, we're fine.
I mean, yeah, he's got a decent game and stuff, but like, what happens when he runs into like a real wrestler? Like, is he going to actually be able to get on top?
Yeah, like Chris Wade, a different weight class.
Striking is fucked, but I'm a little concerned at his overall athletic ability is I think he's gonna run into issues with. But he's good, you know what I mean. But he's not gonna be like Rory and a title contender. I don't believe.
I like it.
I just like to make fun of the journalists that anytime any kind of Canadian guy that's in his early 20s wins 3 fights in a row, it's like, here we go. Like, here we go, eh?
We're here.
The Great North hype.
Knocking out fucking ex-loggers up in North.
I'm about to get crazy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm a little more of a realist up here. I don't.
It's Western Canada.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Vancouver hardly even counts anymore at this point.
Yeah, might as well just be part.
It's pretty much.
It's part of Seattle. Seattle South, Seattle North is a suburb of Seattle. Yeah. That's. I agree. Moving up to the TV card, I'll rattle off the 4 preliminary fights. Chase Sherman defeats Damian Grabowski by decision, and not a good fight. Cowboy with a one punch quitter, right?
Walk off.
Yeah, when LaFleur pulls a fucking Bader and just goes running and fucking
exactly
chin first.
What happened there?
Like, Jesus Christ, homie.
Next up, in my opinion, the performance of the night, Eric Anders just runs a freaking train over Rafael Natal with that beautiful right hand. Yeah, it was great. And then in what they said was the fight of the night, Elijah Dushku dos Santos defeats Lyman Good by split decision in what looked like just like a 15-minute slugfest. Nushan, what do you think about these?
So I said after watching, while I was watching the Sherman Grabowski fight, I said, Sherman could be all right if he had some defense and he had some power, and the list goes on. Like, fuck. Heavyweight, you need to have fucking power, because if you don't, somebody is going to knock you the fuck out, and that's just the way it is. And it just doesn't seem like he has power, and he just gets hit way too much. He does have some, it seems like he has good cardio, but yikes, he's gonna get killed soon. I lost money on the Cowboy LaFleur fight. I had the over, and just Cowboy with the sniper just out of nowhere. Just LaFleur just pulls his best fucking Ryan Bader and just gets knocked out. That was something, because LaFleur hadn't been finished, I don't think, like that anyway. That's for sure. And then I didn't play Anders. I wanted to see what he had, and I think I missed a big opportunity there to capture some money, because I don't know if we'll see him priced like that against anybody mediocre anytime soon. He was that was some power. Holy shit! And that was a really good fight with Dushku and Lyman Good.
Fair enough. Wes, what did you think?
Man, this edge on Tuesday Night Fights, man, is pretty decent. I think Dougie's right.
Some money.
It looks like Dana's pretty happy about it.
That black belt Dougie just talked about is pretty legit, man. That sweep he did with the damn Kimura was fucking awesome, man. That was a pretty fun fight.
Was that Calvillo sitting next to?
Yes, it was.
Man, they're pushing that chick hard.
They are, but her grappling game is legit.
Yeah, no, she's good. She's a little older, but I'm just like, they really are pushing her hard.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Okay, Sherman, yeah, Sherman. Man, Sean's exactly right, man. If the dude had any kind of power, just a little bit, he might be something, but he just doesn't. And that chin, not even the chin, but the defense is going to get him slicked. There's a number of top guys in the top 10 that would knock Chase Sherman out. He just gets hit way too much. Cowboy, I lost money. I had a tiny bit of money on LaFleur, and he pulled his best Bader after pretty much dominating the first round, taking Cowboy down at pretty much will. Pulled his best Bader, man, ran chin first, hands down, and went to sleep. Yeah, Anders, man, guy's pretty good, man. It's one of those cases where you're like, give me a top level athlete, a football guy, high level, plays for Alabama, and give me a 6 months to a year of sprawl training. And that's a case right there, because that dude is like a monster, man. And you just don't get many athletes in MMA like a guy like him. He led a national championship team in tackles. That's pretty good. I think we need to see a little more, but I think he can be good. And then, Good and Elijah was just insane, man. That was probably fight of the night. That was a really good fight. I think the decision was right too. Yeah, well, just
30,
the card
splits.
Yeah,
that was fucking weird.
all night there was shitty cards. Like, they got most of the decisions right, but there were wild scores, like, all over the place, man. And, like, they still have Douglas Crosby and Jeff Mullins judging MMA fights, which is just ridiculous. Like, those dudes have been around for like 15 years, man, and been shitty judges for 15 fucking years. I do not know how those guys still get put on judging MMA fights.
Doug, you got anything to add on these, or should we move on to the main card?
Let's move on to the main card.
That's fine. I agree. First fight, really entertaining bout. I think a lot of people are looking forward to between Rivera and Almeida. Almeida was on, looks like death's door multiple times in that first round. Came back pretty nicely, but somehow there was a 30-26 card on the decision here. Jimmy Rivera swept the 3 cards. Did you guys agree with the scorecards? Do you think Jimmy could be a potential champion, or is he just a notch below? Sean.
I mean, with how shitty the judging is, I guess we shouldn't really dissect what the numbers are. We should just be happy that they get the right winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's come to that point. As for Jimmy, I mean, he's got fucking skills. Like, he really could have just wrestled Almeida likely for 3 rounds if he really wanted to, but his striking looked pretty good against a pretty dangerous guy. Almeida's recovery is crazy. He can just get hit and dropped, and he's ready to go again. His downfall is always going to be his defense. He just gets hit too much, but man, is he fun to watch regardless. Jimmy should be ready to get a title eliminator, a fight to get a shot at the belt, I think, and he probably will win against whoever it's going to be. He's good.
Wes, what do you think? Could he be champion, or just a notch below?
Nah, I mean, the skills are there. He showed me a lot kind of in the second and third round of the fight, that fight. His cardio held up fairly decent. Almeida started landing on him. Like, it's weird with Almeida. Like, early he gets hurt and dropped, but then, like, he took everything that Jimmy threw at him in the second and third, so it's just kind of weird with Almeida. But yeah, I mean, what else do you want or what else can you ask for in a guy to be a title challenger? I mean, Rivera pretty much has all the skills. Like Sean said, I mean, he could have easily just wrestled Almeida in that fight and won a very easy decision. But he stood on his feet most of the fight and threw down with him. Chin held up. Striking looks good. We know he's got the wrestling. He stopped some pretty deep Almeida takedowns in that fight. So, yeah, I mean, it's everything's there. Like Sean said, I think his next fight's probably somewhere around a title eliminator. But, yeah, he's right there.
Dougie, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think he can be a title holder at some point, if the cards fall right for him, because he's got one-punch knockout power that we've seen, or at least like fight-ending power, and he's tough and balls, and he's kind of like a 5-tool guy. He's good everywhere. I feel like if that was a 5-round fight, he'd have lost, though. I think he'd have got knocked out in the 4th or the 5th by Almeida. I think Almeida had picked him up. Does anybody else feel that at all?
I think 5 rounds definitely is always an advantage for Almeida. Just the way he fights, he just has wicked cardio, and he does get dropped in some rounds, but usually he doesn't get flatlined, and so he's usually there, and his offense is good enough that he usually can take over. So I could have definitely seen him taking over the fight and possibly finishing in the late 4th or 5th.
The fight like really tightened up in the 3rd round. Like, it was really tightening up. And maybe Jimmy, that is a 3-round fight. You absolutely don't go into a 3-round fight training and preparing for a 5-rounder like you do a 3-rounder. So,
that's true.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. That fight got really tight in the 3rd round. It was a different fight.
I agree. Next fight up, I don't know if anybody wants to cover this because it was such a frustrating thing to talk about. I'll say this. I mean, Pat Cummins won a decision over John Vellante. Does John Vellante join all of yours do not bet list? Because he's certainly on my do not bet list, and that list is not very long, but he is certainly on that now. I'll pass that question off to Nushan first.
I mean, he's not good, and I mean, this is pretty much the only spot that I would bet him in just because of how much of a glass jaw Cummins had, and I mean, if Cummins gets hit, usually he goes down, but I would be fading Vellante in most other situations.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if you had like this situation come up again, it's like he caught Cummings multiple times and literally would not go in for the kill. Like he was scared that even a hurt Cummings could take him down, you know. I mean, he's definitely on the no bet list now. I don't see any scenario where I could bet on Vellante again. And he more to the other side. He's probably on the fade almost every single time list if you get a decent price. Because, I mean, that was the perfect situation, and he just absolutely blew it.
Dougie, anything here? Or are you just frustrated as we are?
I didn't bet him, so I guess I'm not frustrated. I didn't bet either side of that, but like, he got out kickboxed over the course of that fight. By
Cummins did fucking catch him a bunch of times in the third. That's
sure did.
Bad. That's a bad look, man.
Like, Vellante's reaching Travis Brown status where it's like, let me think of like some weird way for you to lose, and like, all right, like I guess I can do that. Like, lose a fucking kickboxing fight to Pat Cummings, where you're the like stand-up guy. Like, we're starting to have problems with like, what are we doing? Like, why aren't you being a bartender somewhere?
Yeah, switch jobs with Cummins. Go take his job at Starbucks because it might work out better for you.
Like
so
TV
much scar tissue
as a bartender or something, like one of those like Bravo, like one of those Bravo things where they break down a TV show and they're in a bar, and I think he's been the bartender on those before, or something like that.
Cummins leaks like a faucet anytime he gets hit. His face is just mashed.
He's got so much scar tissue.
I don't understand that. Like, he wrestled.
It's around his eye. He's been hit so many times in that place.
He hasn't even been fighting that long.
Cummins has the rare ability to get punched the hardest. Like, that motherfucker gets punched hard when he gets punched.
Yeah.
He doesn't get tapped. He like eats those things, dude.
That eye like puffs up every time. Like, what is it with it? I think it's his left eye. Literally, like just swells into a ball like every time.
Yeah, sure does. Co-main event: Darren Elkins once again moving up the ranks. Split decision victory over Dennis Bermudez in a fight that basically went the opposite of a typical Darren Elkins fight. Nushan, what did you think of this one?
I'm still perplexed why the hell this was the co-main event. Like, why would you not put Rivera Almeida as the co-main event? Like, Elkins versus Bermudez, what do you think? This was just going to be some crazy fight? And Bermudez, I think way higher of Jimmy Rivera than Dennis Bermudez, so I don't really get that part of it. But, I mean, good on Elkins. He did a lot better than I expected him. I had a small bet on him. I had the over in a parlay, but that already got busted. I don't know. These guys, they grind. That's what they do. It's nothing too exciting, but good for Elkins after everybody thinking he just pulled an absolute horseshoe out of his ass against Bektic. So he got a decent win after that.
Yeah, West, I know we both live bet this after round one, and no one knew who was going to win.
Yeah. I thought that Bermudez got a split here, but you couldn't argue that shit. I mean, it was an Elkins, the parts of the fight he won, which were good chunks of it, was prototypical Elkins, but man, some of that control where he's just doing like absolutely nothing but just hanging on to a guy's back, like doing nothing else. I couldn't score that kind of shit for him, man. When Bermudez was on top and shit, I mean, he was working, but still, you get it that close and let it get that close with a guy like Elkins, and that's the shit that happens to you, man. You're going to lose decisions to him, and more power to Elkins, man. I mean, he's a guy that like definitely performs way above and beyond what his natural talents and shit are. Maybe it's the tattoo. That's got to radiate a little kind of aura around him, that no damage shit fucking that shit tattoo he's got. But yeah, props to Elkins, man. Another Elkins performance, pretty much.
Doug, you think that a former host of the MMA Analysis, Sean Carey, would be proud of that Darren Elkins tattoo, or?
I think if it was on his face,
that's more his style.
Hey, that's pretty good work, though. Even though it's a place I probably wouldn't put it, that's some pretty good work.
I mean, that is all.
We'll leave it there.
You're really gonna leave it there?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Yeah,
I'd put the snake on my penis, but that's just me, bro.
That's where it's supposed to be.
I mean, that's what you already got, right?
I'm not gonna say nothing.
That's fine. Main event of the evening: Chris Weidman turns back the clock a little bit with a vintage grappling performance. Actually submits Kelvin Gastelum more than half, or just about halfway into this bout, midway through the third. I know that there was some dissent amongst the show on this fight, but I think most overall are pretty happy for Weidman. He's not a fighter no one really hates. Nushan, what'd you think of this Weidman performance? Do you think this was kind of a one-hit wonder, or is he back?
Yeah, I mean, I bet Gastelum, so maybe that's why I'm a little more down on the performance than some others. But I mean, this is what a fight looks like when you have a big middleweight grappler against a blown up welterweight.
Lightweight.
I mean, yeah, even a lightweight. I mean, I know all these people bitch about cutting weight and stuff like that, but Kelvin Gastelum's a fucking welterweight, and it's plain and simple. If he wants to be a champion, he will fight at welterweight. It's not that bad of a weight cut. He just has to fucking commit himself to being a professional fighter. Even still, I mean, Gastelum in that third looked good. I think if that was the way he needed to fight right off the bat and try to just put pressure on Weidman and try to gas him out early, because it seems like his strategy of kind of just being slow and conserving his own energy wasn't really putting enough pressure on Weidman to gas. But I don't know. I'll still be fading Weidman. I don't think he's that. I think people are talking about him fighting Bisping. He just lost 3 in a row, and he beat a welterweight. Like, come on. I'd like to see Weidman against a top 5 or 6 middleweight, and we'll see what's what.
Wes, I know you had some money on Mr. Christopher Weidman. I guess you were pretty happy with this result.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot to do with the matchup. I mean, I kind of agree with Sean. I don't think Weidman's back or anything, but I mean, even the fights he was losing was like to the top 2 or 3 guys, and like he was in most of those fights. I mean, he was beating Yolo, the guy that just went 5. It was really close.
It was a close fight. I think it was a close fight.
You can make an argument he was beating him. You can also make an argument he was beating Gegard until the knees. But besides that, it's all about Gastelum. I mean, I've seen so many people, like fighters, are saying, trainers, like the guy literally is so undisciplined. He could make that weight easily if he just put in the time and the work to do it. The year-round work it takes to stay at a weight like that now. That's all on him, man. If he wants to go out there and get out grappled and wrestled by true 185ers, I mean, that's on him, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, we seen the speed and the movement and even the power of Gastelum in that fight. I mean, he like knocked Weidman's head off at that one point. But then every other minute of the fight, he's just getting taken down by the bigger man. That's all on Gastelum, and that's what I saw going into the fight. Mainly Gastelum just being the smaller man and not having the grappling skills that Weidman did. And so, yeah, I took plus money for sure. But, yeah, I absolutely agree with Sean. I don't think Weidman's ever going to be back to like a title holder. I mean, the guy's been fighting injuries. I mean, the dude's had dislocated shoulders and bad knees and shit for neck surgery. This has been going on for like 6 or 7 years. Pretty much since he got into the UFC coming out of wrestling, he was already having injury problems. So, I mean, that's going to be a guy that's already put together by bubble gum and straw. So, yeah, going forward, it's not going to get any better. So, yeah, I mean, I could see Weidman beating up on, lower end of the top 10 and shit like that, but I don't see him holding a belt again. Now, if they give him Bisping, that's a different story. I mean, you best believe he could take Bisping down and fucking and ride on him for a few rounds. But who even knows there? I mean, who knows? But yeah, I took that plus money. Weidman's not back or anything.
Dougie, I know you were a little bit surprised by this bout. What'd you think overall?
Well, honestly, it kind of went how I thought it was going to go. I mean, you can't really expect Gastelum to be like dominating the fight, right? He's not going to out wrestle Weidman or anything like that. And Weidman had appeared so fragile that it was going to go like where the end of the first round was like, okay, here we go. He caught him, and it was like bing, 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 bing. Oh, he might finish him. He didn't, but he's going to catch him again at some point. And he just never did. And then Weidman got him downhill. And I think you guys are correct where he was being too complacent. He was being too comfortable. And when it's a fat 155er against a small 205er, all of a sudden you start getting dominated. And it got, Weidman's not bad. Weidman's great. So I think that it could have gone, like, it very easily could have been finished in the first round, like how Gastelum caught him. But, shit happens. And I don't think Weidman's top of the division by any means. I think what would be smarter for him is to go up to 205.
Yeah,
and go
there's nothing there.
Even go between and shit, but like,
wait, this fight's over, by the way? What happened?
I don't know. It's something with his eye. He said he couldn't see out of his eye, and the ref stopped it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel terrible about Charlie. Oh, that's terrible.
Something happened. I think he got hit, but he's saying he got poked in the eye, and he couldn't see anymore.
Man, Charlie's a buffoon.
Yeah.
Anything else?
It was worth plus 300.
Yeah. Should we move on to this week's card?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Let's try to keep the prelim shorter because I'm sure you guys got a lot to say on the, especially Dougie. I know you have a few things to say about your favorite female fighter in the world. I'm sure you're going to want to spend 20 minutes on her. But let's start it off with opening fight of the night: Joshua Berkman and Andrew Dober. New Sean. Berkman really a minus 350 favorite here?
He is pretty shot. He's lost
underdogs.
He's lost 6 of his last 7. I mean,
wow,
it's not good. That's for sure. I mean, some of them have been close, but I mean, he's also got tapped out by the tractor last time in 1:42 seconds. It's Berkman's might be done. It's a pretty wide line. I don't think much of Drew Dober, but he probably has enough to beat Berkman. I think Berkman can stay in there. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit on the over. That's kind of the only action I'll have on this fight, and it's minus 140.
Wes, any bets on this one, or you're gonna just sit and watch?
Yeah, I'm got a little degen action sprinkle. As far as the fight, I kind of agree with a lot of what Sean said. Berkman, I don't know. This dude, Dana must have like a 3-inch penis, and Berkman's got pics of it or something. You know,
I think he's got pictures of Ariane Celeste and Dana in some weird positions or something.
Yeah, some shit. Her shitting on his head or something like that.
Are you kidding me? If he had that, Dana would be like, "Shit, you better be showing that to everybody."
Dana might have been getting pegged or something.
Yeah, he might have been getting ramrodded in his butthole by a big strap on or something. You know. But that's like the only explanation of why Berkman is still fighting in the UFC, man. He is completely washed, man. But you can't lay minus 300 or something on Dober. I do think he wins this fight, but think Berkman's real tough. Dober's not like some finisher in there, so I'm going to sprinkle on Dober by decision. It's right around plus 160, and probably sprinkle on the over as well. You can get it like minus 140, I think what Sean said. But, yeah, Dober by decision for me.
Dougie, any interest in this fight at all?
At all.
All right. None? Don't want to talk about it? You're entitled. That's fine.
No, I'm not going to talk about Drew Dober.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Not the Chicken Parm Eating Institute down there in Phoenix, Arizona?
No.
Okay.
I'll just say I got both these guys at D+. I think the line's a little out of whack, just because Berkman's been so durable. But I don't know. This just feels like one of those cases of a younger guy, really kind of taking it to an older guy potentially, despite the skill set being fairly similar. So that's my thoughts there. Next fight up, should be a pretty exciting flyweight bout. Mr. Shelton taking on newcomer Jared Brooks. I think Brooks was supposed to face Ian McCall in his a previous date, but then there was an injury or something, and just like every other Ian McCall fight, it seems it never happens.
Weird things happen,
Yep, weird things. So Nushan, I'll start with you. What do you think here?
Eric Shelton kind of came out of nowhere on that show. I think he was like the 15th ranked fighter on Tough, so they didn't really know much about him, I guess. He really showed some good skills on there. He ran into Pantoja in the finale, who I rank pretty highly as a prospect in the flyweight division. As for the monkey god, I guess he goes by, Jared Brooks. He was supposed to fight McCall. He's got some finishes, so I mean, Shelton's gonna have to watch out for that. But I really think Eric Shelton's just gonna be able to wrestle and transition and do his thing. So I will bet Shelton small at some plus money.
Wes, I know you like Eric Shelton. Tell us why.
Yeah, I mean, like Sean said with Tough, man, he was one of the later picks, but really showed on there, man. He was, with people that didn't watch, that was a house full of some of the best guys in the world in that division that wasn't in the UFC. And man, he showed in there that he was one of the best guys in that house, and then getting out fighting Pantoja. Pantoja's a guy that I believe that's going to be a top 5 and maybe even a title contender in that division one day. The dude's absolutely legit, and he went to a really close decision with him in that fight. I just don't think Brooks, which, admittedly I haven't seen a ton of tape on Brooks, but just some of the guys he's fighting, man, are just not at Shelton's level. He's never seen wrestling like Shelton's going to put on him here. And I just see Shelton controlling for a pretty easy decision here, maybe getting a late finish. So was kind of surprised that they put Shelton at plus money. I thought it would be the other way around here. So I'm taking a shot at that at plus money on Shelton as well.
Dougie, any thoughts here?
Brooks is that fucking nerd that was trying to talk shit to Ian McCall when he got that fight. So
yep.
I like Shelton.
I like it. Short and sweet. I got Brooks a C-, Shelton a C. I think athleticism ultimately is the king in this one. I think Shelton's work rate is is pretty solid as well. I mean, Brooks is pretty high, pretty high motor as well, but ultimately I think the athleticism is a bit, just another step up from Shelton's part, and I think that's the difference in this bout. I like him too, and I believe, Nushan, that's our consensus bet of the week, or one of our 2 consensus bet of the week. Am I right?
That is correct at plus 130.
So plus 130, Eric Shelton, consensus bet 1, presented by 5dimes.eu. Next bout up, I don't know what you want to say here. No idea how Kaylin Curran is in the UFC still, but she is. And
you know why.
Oh, there we go again.
Different kind of dick pics, huh?
Facing perhaps pound for pound. See what I did there? Mm-hmm. Top strawweight in the UFC, Alexandra Albu. Nushan.
I'm going to get really sexist right here. So here's what you should do instead of watching these 2 chicks fight. Just Google them. Just Google them and just swipe through their pictures, because I'm sure that will be much more enjoyable than watching these fight. I'm not betting the over. I'm not going to watch it. That's it.
Wes, are you going to be Googling with Nushan?
I might have already, but
he's already spent.
Yeah, Curran is fucking terrible. Don't really know how good Abu is yet, but she's probably going to win this fight. I might sprinkle on the over for a little degen action, but yeah, this fight's going to suck.
Dougie, you are a women's MMA connoisseur. Are you going to be betting Albu?
No. I used to think that Curran was going to be able to, turn into something, and it just is not even close to happening. But, yeah, no, don't watch it.
Yeah, it's not good. I got Albu a C-, Curran a D-. Curran loses fights because she likes losing. It seems that way to me. She loses in dumb ways. She can't. She's not very good. And Dougie's right. She's a fighter that looks like she should be better than she is, but she's not. So buyer beware. Just in this fight, and Albu fought once in seems like the last 3.5 years. So again, just not the kind of angle you really want to target in fights, I think. Next fight up, and I honestly can't say much about this one because I haven't reviewed Qatar yet, but Calvin Qatar, for calling him that, versus Andre Fili. This, to me, seems like it should probably be a beatdown, but I don't know. What do I know? Nushan, do you have anything to say on this one?
Calvin Qatar's nickname is the Boston Finisher, yet he's been to a decision in 6 straight fights. So he's a fucking fraud, and I will not fucking pick him. That's right. Fucking fraud. Hopefully
don't give
Fili
Val Mueller on the
out.
case.
Wes, have you seen anything on this guy, or is this a...
Yeah, I've seen him a couple times in CES. I haven't gone back and watched any tape on him, but I've seen most of his fights in CES and can't remember one. So that should say a lot about him. Yeah, this should be a beatdown, but I can't lay almost 4-1 on Fili. He's kind of been hit and miss here lately, but he really should get this guy out of there.
Indeed, and there's the first losing bet of the night.
Walden just got steamrolled.
Yeah, he did. Holy shit!
That was a weird finish.
I don't even think he was hit cleanly.
Did he get hit with a body shot?
He was controlling too, man. Up until then, what the fuck?
Yeah, that is strange. Dougie, I assume you don't care about this one.
You are correct, sir.
But Andre Fili should roll. Now we move up to the who cares part of the card, or everybody cares rather. We got Renato Moicano, which means Mohawk in Portuguese, taking on T-City. Nushan, is this going to be another one of those weird fights where T-City wins with 30 seconds left?
Yeah, he sure as hell likes to come back from fights. He's been in a couple lately where it seems like he's been losing into the third, and he fucking comes back and does some crazy shit, whether it's knocking some fool out or choking out Diego Brandao or what. I definitely think he has more ways to win in this fight. It's not going to be a big bet for me just because he definitely does lose some early rounds, it seems. I mean, he has fought some pretty decent fighters who start fights pretty well. So I don't think too much of Moicano. He had a surprisingly good game plan against Jeremy Stephens. He didn't get sucked into a brawl with Stephens, which is never a good idea. But I think this line is a bit better just because of that win against Stephens. I think that was just really, really smart game planning and sticking to it. I think T-City should get it done here. I don't know if he finishes, though.
Wes, are you going to be betting this one?
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines as Sean here. I think Moicano is the line's a whole lot tighter just because of what Sean said, coming off that Stephens win, which I think it was. I mean, you don't want to take a good win away from somebody like that, but I guess it was a smart game plan, but he just kind of moved and really didn't engage much. Not a really good fight. I mean, you don't want to go in there and brawl with Stephens, man, but you need to kind of perform a little bit more than that. He won the fight, gets us a better line here. That's kind of my opinion on it. I think Ortega's just better in more areas than him. He's got more ways to win. If this hits the mat, it's definitely Ortega's world. And I think Ortega's just about as good on the feet. So at plus money, I'll definitely be taking a shot here. I also think a little sprinkle on Ortega inside the distance. I could see him catching a sub if he can get a takedown, and that's around plus 330 or something like that. So I will be on Ortega, and Ortega inside the distance, really small.
Dougie, you are our grappling expert on this show. Just how good is Brian Ortega's submission grappling game?
Like ridiculously good. It's like really potent.
Like not Gilbert Burns good though.
No. Like, how would I explain this? They're both black belts, but Gilbert Burns would be an Olympian, and Brian would be an All-American if we're wrestling. So Gilbert's winning worlds, and Brian is winning nationals. But Brian's game is really good for MMA because it's potent. He's really good at finishing guys with subs. He's not really like a positional guy. He hits you with a sub out of nowhere, like hard and fast, and it's scary. Whereas Gilbert will just shut everything down.
Stifle him.
Kind of like Demi and Maya, where you just, everything you do just puts you into a deeper hole, whereas Brian is, you're doing something and then all of a sudden you're in a triangle.
Wesley, be quiet.
Oh, shit. You can pick it up. My bad.
So what about this fight, Dougie? Do you think that Ortega could sub him, or is it going to be a standing exchange? How do you think it plays out?
The problem that Brian Ortega has is that he's not good at getting the fight onto the ground. But I don't think Moicano's going to take him down. So I would assume this turns into a kickboxing bout where he's just going to be game and probably a little behind. But, you know, if Moicano fucks up at all, it's one of those things where this guy is that guy that's going to end the fight on an opportunity because that's what he's best at. I would take him at the dog because of that. But I'm also kind of a jiu-jitsu mark, so.
That is true. I rate both these guys at B-. I think it's a really tough fight to call because clearly Ortega's, you know, the more potent finisher, like Dougie alluded to, and really in all facets, even if it's striking, but in particularly the submission grappling. Moicano's more of a death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of a thing, and he kind of outpoints guys. That's what he does. He's not bad. Certainly his win over Jeremy Stephens points to that. But I think it could be he could be ahead and then Ortega potentially land something spectacular, because that's kind of what he does. I think it's a dangerous fight. I think it's more of, Moicano has the opportunity to kind of lead from the beginning, and it's more, it could even have a 2-round lead, and then T-City needs a finish. He's been in that spot before, and he's delivered. So I think it's a difficult fight to bet. You can't really even live bet it, because unless you play Ortega in round, just kind of, after round 2, and, just kind of hope for, one of his kind of, special finishes that he's capable of. So for me, this is a total pass. I think there's better bets on the card. Moving up, another good bout, really interesting one, because it's taking place at catchweight at 140 pounds. Former bantamweight champion Renan Barão taking on another Long Island guy, Aljamain Sterling. And what's kind of a, changing the guard potential type fight. Nushan, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's interesting. The California Athletic Commission wouldn't license Barão for 135 because of all the shit that he's done when it comes to cutting weight, missing weight, knocking himself out, and all that fun stuff. So they landed on 140. Aljo does have a pretty tough cut to 135, so the extra 5 pounds should help him as well. I don't know. I'm very, very down on Renan Barão. He beat Philippe Nover in a decision, and Nover had some chances there in that fight where he didn't look horrible. I don't know. Maybe it's just too many fights adding up. Barão's only 30, but he just has so many fights, and I don't know if it's just a thing at the lower weight classes where all of a sudden when you hit a shit ton of fights at that lower level, it just seems like the decline is really drastic. Aljo's kind of been a bit of a letdown, I guess, but he fought Brian Caraway and Rafael Assunção in back-to-back fights. Those guys are no joke. And he went to split decisions with both of them. He did beat Augusto Mendez last time, and I mean, it was a decision. He wasn't able to put him away, but Aljo's kind of more of a grappler, and that's kind of tough to do against a Mendez. As for this fight, this is kind of just a pure fade on Barão. I think Aljo is just gonna keep getting better, and maybe he'll be elevated by that Weidman win, training at his camp. So I'll have a small bet on Aljo. It's kind of come down in price. I think he is, what is he, minus 135? Yeah, I'll be taking that small.
Wes, are you going to be on Renan Barão, or is this? Are you going to be joining Nushan on the Aljo train?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me too that Barão is only 30 years old, and I think Sean's really right too that the lower weight guys, and it ain't even age when they hit it. I think it is more fights and ring time that, man, they hit a decline really, really hard. 'Cause I think they rely a lot more on that speed and explosion and just all the stuff that we rave about with the lighter weight classes. That shit goes, and it just goes quick. But man, in this fight here, Barão's, I know the numbers say 100% takedown accuracy, but I'm pretty sure TJ got his hips to the ground and stuff. So I wouldn't say 100%, but it's really, really fucking hard to take Renan Barão down. And I don't know if Aljo can beat Renan Barão in a kickboxing match for 3 rounds. I mean, he can, but it makes the fight a whole lot closer. If Aljo can get this to the mat a couple times, and he wins this fight easy, I think. But I don't think he can. I'm going to bank on that Renan Barão takedown defense. Aljo's not a knockout artist. He doesn't throw a ton of volume. He's more of a 2-punch combo kind of guy. So I'm going to bank that Barão keeps this up, and he can win a couple rounds in a kickboxing match. And I'll take the plus money on Renan Barão here. Would not be surprised if Aljo wins this fight. He should win this fight, but I can just see a path for Barao here and plus 115 on a former champion against a guy that I think struggles in big moments. We've seen it before. This is a really big fight for him again on a really big card. We could see that happen again. I think the nerves get to Sterling sometimes. So I'm going to bank on all that and take a shot on the dog here.
Dougie, are you going to be playing this bout, or is this a complete pass?
I probably pass on this. I like Aljamain in this a little more, but I really don't like guys that have a kick first offense and then that have to rely on grappling because they're kind of like they gas themselves doing it, and I can see him doing that in this fight against Barao because Barao is such a nightmare to take down. But I just feel that Barao is on such a decline that Aljamain can like win like an ugly clinch fight almost. But this is a pass for me at this point still, unless he gets a better number.
Yeah, I got Sterling a B, Barao a B minus. I'm with Dougie here. I think this is a pass. I think it's just because there is a path to victory for Barao, and Sterling could miss on the takedown attempts, and kind of go for a bunch and not get any, and then it becomes kind of like an ugly clinch fight, and it very likely goes to the scorecards. And it's, like you said, it's just ugly, and I mean, just the way the judging kind of even went last week. I mean, it's just not a piece of business I really want to be a part of. So pass for me. Moving up to the fight, or rather the TV prelims, really entertaining, which should be an entertaining fight, and a really big fight for an up-and-comer against a veteran. I know Wes's favorite, Mr. Mississippi Mean.
My cuz.
Yeah, your cousin, Jason Knight, taking on, future, or rather past title contender, Ricardo Lamas. Nushan, are you interested in Lamas here, or are you a believer in West's cousin?
I like Lamas. I think this just might be a little bit too soon for Jason Knight. He has an awesome, fun style, but he still does get taken down. And I mean, it's going a while back, but Kawajiri was able to kind of ground him out. I would assume that he's been working on that because I think that's Lamas's best way to win. But Lamas he's a good fighter. I mean, in the UFC, he's lost 3 times, and that was to Aldo, Mendez, and Holloway. Those are elite guys, and Holloway, the loss to Holloway, I mean, he went to a decision with him. He was able to take Holloway's punches. I just think at plus money, you gotta play Lamas in this. There's just so much more experience, and I know Lamas is getting up there in age, and we talked about that, how the lower weight classes, they can kind of fall off a cliff, but he beat Dubronx in his last fight. He choked out Dubronx. Like it's nothing crazy going on right now. He hasn't lost a bunch in a row. Like, I think it just might be too much. I think he'll be able to get Knight down and get him tired and should be able to get a decision.
Wes, are you betting on family? I mean, I have to imagine you might be.
No, when it comes to money, there is no family.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm on a lot of the same feeling as Sean here. I just think this is a little bit too much too soon for Jason Knight, and I'm a really big fan. But everything that Sean said is true. He does get taken down a lot, but the reason he still wins fights is his scrambling ability is just unbelievable. I don't think he worries about getting taken down because he knows he can get back up. Well, Lamas is a different kind of guy. Lamas can control just about anybody when he gets them on their back, and I see that happening here. He's going to take Jason Knight down, and he's going to sit on top of him and beat the shit out of him. And getting plus money on Lamas in this spot is just, it's kind of crazy to me. I get Knight's a decent up and coming fighter, but like Sean said, I mean, Lamas has lost to two of the three of the top 5 guys in the entire division. So the Knight's nowhere near that level. So yeah, plus 105 on Lamas here is a little bit nutty to me, and I'll definitely be taking a shot on that.
Dougie, are you going to be on the Ricardo Lamas train too, or are you a believer in the fam?
No, I like Knight, but I think this is a bad style fight for him, and I think that this is a guy that Lamas knows how to beat because he just beat Oliveira. And they have they don't fight exactly the same, but they're rangy kickboxer-y jiu-jitsu guys that aren't going to wrestle real hard. And he knows how to, dominate those guys. So I think he could get finished by Lamas. I think Lamas could sub him even, and he's just that kind of a guy. I'll end up betting Lamas. I haven't yet, but that would be my play.
Okay, fair enough. I got Jason Knight a B-. Ricardo Lamas, I got a B+. I think this is another interesting fight. I'm just a little worried because Knight's been on such a nice run of late. And, kind of a young and up-and-comer, has the capability to finish either with strikes or with grappling. Lama's definitely getting older, well into his 30s now. Certainly really experienced, only lost to really high-level guys, former champion, title contender types. So this is, I just a little hesitant because of Lamas' age, and he has been chinny in some bouts, and Knight will come after it. I do favor Lamas, just based on my grades, but I'm personally going to pass here. I'm just a little nervous, honestly. Moving up to the main card, we got Jimmy Manuwa taking on Volkan Ozdemir for a light heavyweight #1 contender bout.
Jesus
right,
Christ.
Sean? Is that where we're at?
That's why Weidman needs to go up.
Yeah. Because fucking Ozdemir is possibly getting a title shot if he wins.
You imagine what Weidman does to Jimmy Manuwa? Seriously.
Just grapples him to death.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna just keep on losing money to fucking Volkan. That's I'm an idiot and put money on Osp. I learned my lesson. We'll never do that again. And then I didn't have much on Serkinov. I just had him by sub, but that's still money lost. And
are you shitting me?
Yeah, I saw that. That's bad.
Oh my god! No fucking way, dude.
And Manuwa at minus one.
What?
I think he fucked up his ankle. I think that's
yeah, fucking Jackson fucked it and looks like he dislocated his ankle, dude.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
That's a shitty way to lose. Man, that's fucking MMA right there. But yeah, Jimmy Manuwa at minus 170.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I think you got to play Jimmy Manuwa at minus 170. I know Ozdemir has won against some guys, but Jimmy Manuwa fucking hits like a truck, and I hope that he knocks out this fucking fraud, or else I'm just going to keep losing money to some dude named Volkan.
Yeah, Jay's as stunned as I am. Fucking Jackson, man.
I'll throw that away.
Yeah, I had a good little chunk on him tonight. That's kind of disappointing. He was just totally dominating that fight, too. Yeah, that's MMA. Like Sean said, you can have the best guy out there, and a dude turns his ankle over, and there goes your shit.
Well, he did get dropped in the first, right at the end there, which wasn't good.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was more of
for 4 minutes.
Yeah, it was a take. It was kind of a trip takedown, though. It wasn't.
Anyway, where were we after West?
Yeah, I'm like Sean here. I'm gonna try to lose some more money betting against Volkan. I bet on Osp and was fairly big on Serkinov, so that one kind of hurt. But this guy's got a line like this low just because of that one punch on Serkinov, and I think if those guys fought 10 more times, Serkinov wins most of them. So getting Jimmy here at like minus 170, I think he is. I got to take some of that. I'll also be looking at Manawa by KO. I don't know what that is right now, but that is also another bet that I will be looking at.
It's fine. Are you on the Manawa train too, Dougie? Are you an Ozdemir believer?
I'm an Ozdemir believer. No.
Oh.
No. Let's not be ridiculous. I agree with what Sean and Wes said. I just don't believe, and I think we're getting a good number on Manawa because of it, because he landed a hot one on Serkinov. I don't get it. If this guy does it again, I still don't think I'll believe it.
Just keep losing money. That's what we're going to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm okay for it. It's like me betting on Manny Pacquiao.
Right. It's fair. I got Manawa a B-, Ozdemir a C+. Ozdemir I think got a little lucky in his last bout. He caught his opponent early. Otherwise, it kind of looked like he was in for a tough bout. And Manawa hits really friggin' hard. Not really easy to take down. I just think Manawa has more tools, better striker. Osp had a lot of chances against Ozdemir too, but certainly not the kind of striker that Manawa is. So I like Jimmy here. I think he wins. Ozdemir is a pretty tough guy. I don't know if he'll finish. I'm gonna kind of lean towards yes, but I think Manawa does more than enough to win this bout. And he's the first leg of our second bet, a two-fight parlay. The other fighter is later on this card. Next bout up, really cool fight. I think it was really supposed to be in the summertime at UFC. I guess that's UFC 213, so a few weeks ago, and then it got moved up to this card. Donald Cowboy Cerrone, Robbie Lawler. Pretty cool fight, right, New Sean?
Very cool fight. Couple of violence gods right here. Robbie Lawler's been out for a long time. It'll be almost a year to the date that he got knocked out by Tyron Woodley. Normally that's not a good thing, but with a guy like Lawler, it was probably a good thing with all the wars he's been having recently. Let his body recover and get back in there. Cowboy lost to Masvidal in a pretty grueling fight. I kind of like Robbie Lawler here. I still don't. I know Cowboy thinks he's a welterweight, but these guys against big guys with big power, it's not a good thing. And Robbie Lawler, the only thing that worries me a bit is he does kind of start slow. He usually takes over in the fourth and fifth rounds of fights, and this is only a 3-round fight, so that's kind of worrying me a bit. But Robbie Lawler has crazy power, and Cowboy does have a bit of a fragile body. I will be betting Robbie Lawler, but small because of a couple of those issues there.
Fair enough. Wes, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think Sean made a really good point. For most guys, seeing a year layoff would be like a huge red flag, but I think this might be one of the best things that Lawler could have done. The dude was, had been in some serious wars over the past few years. It was kind of a flash, but still a brutal knockout by Woodley. I think this year, taking a year layoff is just gonna do wonders for him. And on the flip side, I think we've finally seen. I think we've seen Cowboy starting to cross over to that other side of his career, and I think he's starting to get on the war sin, man. shots that used to not bother him are starting to hurt him and starting to rock him. He's starting to look a tiny bit slower. That's just not good things to see coming into a fight against a guy like Lawler. Not to mention I don't know how recent it was, but apparently it was not too long ago. And there's a video with this dude on a fucking on a board, on a wakeboard, yeah, with his old lady on his shoulders, and they're getting pulled behind a boat, and he's downing beers, and then they fucking fall off and shit, and that's the type of shit that Cowboy's still doing on the weekends, man. So, yeah, give me Lawler here all day, and I think Lawler might get a knockout here. I hate to say it, but I really think Cowboy is he's on the other side of that hill, man, and I think he's starting to slow down. I think shit's starting to add up on him.
Dougie, are you excited about this one? Who do you think wins?
Yeah, this will be fun. Two action fighters. I think this is a really bad matchup for Cerrone. The type of guys that he has problems with are bullies, and you know he got ran over literally by Dos Anjos twice, and I think this is a bigger version of that. I think he's going to have a lot of issues with the size of Lawler, and Lawler being able to kind of just walk him down, and you know that's what Lawler's just going to stalk him into a corner and try to beat his ass. And not going to be, you know, you're not going to scare Lawler off of you or anything, you know, that doesn't work. So, I don't see him out wrestling him, you know, I don't see a lot of paths to victory for Cerrone out of landing like a head kick or something, but there's like a 50-50 chance he just kind of gives that like really crazy grin and keeps coming forward also. So I like Lawler here. I haven't bet it yet. I'm going to watch the line a little more, but I think he's got a real clear path to victory.
Okay. I got Cerrone a B+, Robbie Lawler an A-. I think the one concern for Lawler is he was just, you know, pretty brutally knocked out by Tyron Woodley in his last bout. It was a long time ago, but we haven't seen Lawler completely finished in a bout in a long time. That concerns me a bit, but I agree that Lawler's, you know, kind of pressure, you know, kind of goes against Cerrone. Cerrone does tend to struggle with guys who pressure as opposed to needing space. When Cerrone has space to land, he does well, but he does tend to struggle with pressure fighters, and that kind of is what Robbie Lawler is. He just keeps coming. That's really dangerous. So I'll take Robbie Lawler here. I'm a little concerned about the, you know, like I said, the prior knockout. It's probably honestly a bout that I'm going to be looking to live bet after round one, but we shall see. Moving up to the title fights, we got Chris Cyborg, possibly pound for pound top female fighter currently in MMA,
possibly
facing off against maybe, in Dougie's opinion, the top pound for pound female fighter in MMA, Tanya Evinger. What do you got, new Sean?
I mean, Cyborg is what, minus 1,300. I mean, it's fairly justified. Evinger is a 135er. It's tough for me to see Evinger winning. I mean, she is good herself. She's got quite a few finishes and subs against some decent girls. But Cyborg's just another animal. It's tough. I don't know who can stand up to Cyborg. I do think Evinger is tough, and I do think that she can make it into the second, and that's going to be my play on the fight. The fight starts round 2 is plus 166. I think that's a decent shot, and I think Cyborg round 2 is kind of worth it as well. That is Cyborg round 2 is
plus 500,
525. Yeah, that's not bad. I'll probably sprinkle a little bit on that and play starts round 2 medium.
Fair enough. Wes, are you betting Cyborg in any capacity here?
No, in some capacity. How scary is a fighter to where you have a chick win a belt, literally win a title belt, make up a fucking surgery and an injury and shit, and then when they make up a different weight class, you're miraculously healed and no surgery needed, and you're back in the cage. GDR is going to go down as one of the worst champions ever, and it was pretty hilarious to see just how scared. I think she was about as scared as Cyborg as Bisping is of YOLO, and that's saying something. But yeah, I think I couldn't agree more with Sean on this fight. Cyborg's going to win this fight. I'm a huge Evinger fan. I think Evinger is she's as close to a female Diaz. Everybody tries to say this Diaz. Evinger is literally as close to a female Diaz as you can get. She's a straight gangster, man, and I love watching her fight. But she's just way in over her head here, just like pretty much any chick is. But she's really, really tough and really skilled. So that's the bet that I kind of picked out too before even talking to Sean tonight coming on the show. His fight starts round 2 at plus 166 and Cyborg in round 2 at plus 525. I think those are two really good bets on this fight, and about the only two one of the only two bets that you can find value in this entire fight. So, yep, I will be on those two bets as well.
Dougie, is your girl going to shock the world?
No.
Damn.
Unfortunately.
I mean, I wish, but.
Oh my God.
Oof. And
dude. My bad.
I'm not fully even convinced she gets out of round 1.
Oh shit, that's not good.
Whoa.
Man, those were fucking dead in elbows. Holy shit.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoa is right.
Look, old girl in the yellow shirt literally just started creaming herself. Look, she's she's fanning herself off and shit. My Lord. Jesus Christ.
Those are crazy short elbows.
Man, that was a hell of a fight card, dude. Damn, there was finish after finish. Well, that won the ankle shit.
Anyway,
Dougie, you're saying that she's not even going to make it to round 2? That's not good for mine and Wes's bets. That's for damn sure. Come on.
I'm not even fully convinced because here's the thing that, Evinger, even in fights that she generally wins, she goes to war.
Yeah.
She's not beating the fuck. She ends up beating the fuck out of these women, but it's back and forth for 5-6 minutes, and there's no back and forth for 5 and 6 minutes with Cyborg. That's getting trucked in 1 minute. So, I think the athletic thing here is going to be a big, big issue for her. I think she's going to be moving in mud compared to Cyborg, but there's no real great Cyborg line. I think the lines that you guys found are good, but
yeah, Cyborg round 1 is minus 190.
Yeah, that's not. What are you doing with that?
Yeah,
I'm more interested in that Avenger's in the UFC now.
Yeah,
and at 135, this will be fun now with her in the UFC. But
she's got to take an ass whooping first.
She got big ass balls, that's for sure.
That's right.
Yeah, she does. I got Evinger a B, Cyborg an A++. It's just tough because Evinger's style is she likes to kind of out out physical her opponents, and she's not going to be able to do that against Cyborg. That's just the reality. I think she's going to be kind of forced into a standing exchange, and that's going to be very, very bad. And she's going to get KO'd. I'll leave it at that. Cyborg wins. Moving on to a much more interesting breakout. Welterweight title fight, Damian Maia, Tyron Woodley. I know there might be some dissenting opinions here. New Sean, backpack or knockout?
I think the backpack has a chance. I know everybody's like, "Whoa, Woodley's this amazing wrestler. How the hell is Damian Maia gonna get him down?" Like, Woodley got taken down by Rory. Rory doesn't have an amazing takedown, and Damian Maia definitely doesn't do it different. He does it totally different. He just needs to get in close to you, and he just finds a way. I know Woodley is just a freak athlete and just has really good wrestling, but I don't know. This is a tough one. I never have good reads on Tyron Woodley fights because it seems like, I don't know, he does the weirdest shit in fights. He kills Robbie Lawler, then does nothing for about 50 minutes against Stephen Thompson other than a couple flashes.
Don't remind me.
But I don't know. Maia does weird shit, and I've been on the Maia train for a while, and I've been hopping off my money trains lately, and it's been biting me, so I kind of just have to stick to it. I don't think there's any way in hell Maia wins a decision, so I'll be taking Maia by sub, which is sitting at... What is it sitting at?
Might as well just take inside. Take inside the distance is plus 285.
Oh yeah, well, so inside the gotta love dimes. Inside the distance is better than subs. So yeah, I'll be taking inside the distance.
I looked at the same thing. I already looked at the same thing, dude.
Yeah. So I mean, would I be surprised if Woodley just fucking knocks him out in 30 seconds? It could happen, but I don't know. I gotta bet it till it dies now. I've learned my lesson recently.
Okay. Wes, like I said, knockout or backpack?
Well, considering that at the beginning of the year on like our first show, we all picked our year-end champs who we thought would have the belt in every weight class. I picked Maia, so I kind of got to stick with that here. Look, I would not be surprised to see Woodley starch Maia. I mean, I wouldn't say it's even a coin flip here. I think, Woodley should win this bout more times than not. But man, Maia's got a path here and he's got a chance. And, you're going to give me almost 3-1 on him at least getting Woodley to that mat once. Would you take 3-1 knowing that he was going to get it to the mat once? I think most people would. So I'll take the chance that he gets it to the mat once at almost 3-1. And give me Maia inside the distance. Like I said, would not be surprised if Woodley starched him. But there's few guys I think that Maia's, this is one of the guys that he's just got a chance. Man, it's like every guy he goes against, they all have, a little bit more all-around skills, or they're more athletic, they're more explosive, and he always finds a way. I think he does again. So, yeah, Maia for me.
All right. Dougie, new champion, or is Woodley going to continue his most hated title reign?
I'm really, really back and forth on this because I can talk myself into scenarios because, in my opinion, the place Maia needs to get the fight is Woodley up against the fence. And where does Woodley naturally put himself?
Up against the fence.
Up against the fence. But if Maia can get one-punch knocked out at any moment by that guy, which is a totally plausible scenario because they start the fight standing, and it's not like Maia's going to be, doing a lot standing against him, so Woodley's going to feel pretty safe. And then I see stuff on Twitter that Ben Askren is working with Woodley and they're like specifically working on Maya's positioning, and that makes me think he can shut it down, because you forget how good of a wrestler Tyron Woodley was, because he doesn't do it, but technically that guy is an extremely good wrestler. And if they're game planning specifically to stop Maya's takedown, and I think Askren's actually a really good guy for this, because he's probably really good at being able to mimic other people, that makes me feel like Maya can shut it down. And so I like really go back and forth with what to do here, because like Woodley puts himself into Maya's clearest path, but is Maya really getting that dude down and doing something before he can get back up and beat his ass to death? I don't know. That plus 285 sounds pretty good. Is anybody looking at odds right now?
Yep.
What is Maya not by knockout?
That
would be
minus 40,
minus 5,100, Dougie.
I was close too.
Because I heard something where he's got 3 knockouts in his career, but 2 of them are because of injury to the other guy. And the only other one was really early in his career, so he just doesn't ever win by knockout ever. And
the crazy thing is, it's actually been bet. It opened minus 4,800. It actually went up a tiny bit, so somebody must have been betting the other side, and then it's got hammered. It's down to minus 5,100.
That into something, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny, but that was just a funny thing that I had heard.
Put the mortgage on not Maya by TKO. Got it.
Yeah. Not Maya by TKO.
Perfect.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that insight.
I went through a phase of doing these like 20-team parlays where I would just find guys not by sub, so and so not, but like you would take Woodley not by sub in this fight,
yeah,
and just throw it away into this 20-team parlay and let them add up. And
how'd that go?
It worked. I just wasn't disciplined enough to keep doing it.
Yeah, I got both these guys in A. I mean, they're both very good in their own ways. I prefer Tyron Woodley in this bout because I think he's gonna. Because I'm still convinced if he lands one punch on Maya, he's gonna be toast. But as Brad's probably gonna tell us, who I think just stopped in,
he is.
That
what? Me?
When is Tyron Woodley actually going to throw a punch? And with that, I'll throw it to Brad.
Tyron Woodley throws punches?
Not very often, that's for sure.
Not this year. He didn't.
On Twitter.
Yeah, that was such a good fight, Dougie. When we were in. Woo!
Yeah, I was really happy I spent a lot of money not to watch Ferguson and Khabib fight. I was really
How long did Dougie go on about being bitter about that fight?
Then to have that shit be the main event, and where I could have just gone and taken a shit in my hand.
And then punch yourself in the dick at the same time.
Yeah, just let some chick kick me in the balls for fucking 25 minutes.
I would have let the chick that was bartending at Beer House kick me in the balls.
Oh, yes. I forgot about her. Does she have like a tiger tattoo on her arm or something like that?
Yeah, she had a shitload of tattoos.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Nice.
Demian Maia is going to win this fight because he's the only person in MMA that knows how to grapple. The only one. There's one guy that grapples anymore in MMA, so he has to win because otherwise MMA is just shitty kickboxing. So if you don't cheer for Demian Maia in this fight, you hate MMA. That's about the extent of it. He's going to come in. He's going to make Woodley miss one overhand right. He's going to get in, and people are talking about how Maia can't take Woodley down and all this bullshit. It doesn't matter. He is so sneaky at getting around a guy's backs, and then he just latches on. And Woodley can't even carry his own weight around for 5 minutes without gassing. You think he's going to be able to carry Maia's weight around? Fuck no. So, yeah. Maybe Woodley survives one round with Maia on his back. Maybe. But if that happens, he is dead in the water in the second round. And Maia is your new champion. It has been foretold. It's happening.
There it is.
Wow.
He has spoken.
Yeah, fair enough. Main event time. So they didn't give it to the guy for destroying Spawn?
Did they just give the contract to the dude? Oh, no.
Settle down.
There could be more than one.
Yeah.
There are two.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that dude murked the guy he fought.
Who was the other dude they gave? That was the guy with the elbows.
Who knocked out Walden or whatever.
Yeah, Neil.
Yeah, Neil. They gave 2 contracts.
That's pretty impressive. Knockout. What's the guy's name?
Walden?
No. The guy that
Spawn.
last week.
Ryan
Spawn. Yeah.
No, the guy that Neil beat last week on LFA. He beat somebody pretty decent.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, and then he won here like 10 days later or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So
They finally have fighters that look like real athletes. So there's
They got 2.
That's
They got
racist,
look like
Ray.
they got
That's
2.
fucking
Yeah.
racist.
Yeah, we know they're black. Jay. It's okay.
Jesus Christ.
They got 2 real Cubans, Jay. They got 2 real Cubans tonight.
All right, main event time. New Sean, let's start with you.
No, Bradley can start,
Cormier.
just in case he has
Brad,
to leave.
we're going to start with you.
All right, double dipping here.
You betcha.
Daniel Cormier,
Speaking
Johnny
of
Jones.
real athletes, Daniel Cormier is not one. You see how pudgy that motherfucker is? couldn't even make weight at the Olympics. Jeez.
Couldn't make
If
weight
Daniel
for his last title defense.
If Daniel Cormier was the one, he would not have been kicked in the gut by Anderson Silva's gimpy leg and hurt by it. So, man, I'm excited for this fight. I don't think it's going to be even as competitive as the first one is, because I think that Jones is going to come out, and I've kind of always said this about Jones. He's a guy that rises to the occasion. So if you put him back in there against Alexander Gustafsson, I think that he beats the shit out of Gustafsson. I don't care about the reach and all that bullshit that people talk about. If you put him back in there with OSP, he won't give a shit again because OSP sucks, and it'll be a pretty lame fight. Mm-hmm. But he cares about this fight, more than any other fight in his career, except maybe the Shogun fight. So I think he's going to come out, and people are going to talk about layoffs and things like that. I think this is going to be the best John Jones that we have ever seen, and I think it just comes down to a fact, not of preparation or anything like that, but just how focused he is and how much he wants to win this fight. And when that dude wants to win a fight and wants to put on a dominant performance, we saw that against a shitload of good fighters early in his title reign and on his way to the title. And I think we see it again here. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get a stoppage. I was kind of thinking that he was heading that way in the 4th round of their first fight. And I think that could be similar here, except this time he locks up some sort of submission and puts Mr. Cormier away.
Yeah. New Sean, are you on the Brad train? Are we going to see a finish here?
I agree with a lot that Brad was saying. I was also looking at the sub. If I would have grabbed it a lot earlier when it was higher, it's open plus 790. It was in the plus 600 range for a while, and now it's kind of down to plus 500. It's not high enough for me. I'm just gonna have a lot of money on him straight. I think he just is so much better, and he just rises to the occasion, like Brad said. He wants to win this so badly, and it seems like he's free now. Like, he's just talking all this shit about smoking weed and doing coke, and he just doesn't give a fuck about that. Like, I don't know. I think he's a very dangerous dude, and Cormier hasn't looked great. I know, like, he got rocked by Gustafsson. He played it really safe against Anderson Silva and may have got hurt there. I know Jones didn't look great against Osp, but like Brad says, he rises to the occasion, and I don't know. I think he's going to do bad things to Cormier. It might be close for the first first round, maybe the first 2 rounds, but I think Jones is going to take over, and he might get a late sub.
Wes, are we going to see a finish too? Or is that going to be 3 for 3?
Yeah. Put another one on the board. Yeah, man, John Jones is the greatest thing that we've ever seen in this sport, man. Probably the greatest thing I've ever seen in any combat sport I've ever watched. I truly think that we're going to see the best John Jones that we've ever seen in this fight. Brad's absolutely right with John fighting to the level and the moment of his competition. This is the biggest moment of his entire career. He wants this more than probably just winning the belt the first time. DC is that. DC's the kind of opponent that a guy like John needs, man. It's gonna bring everything out of him. I think we're actually gonna get a John in this fight that hasn't been partying and binging for 3 weeks leading up to the fight. I think he's all in for this one. I see a finish here too. I think DC's getting old. I think the weight cuts are getting harder and harder on him. I think he's getting old. The dude's starting to look a little bit rougher in fights. I just think this is going to be not even close as the first one, and I can see a late round stoppage. Me personally, I think it's ground and pound. I don't think John wants to choke him. I think he wants to beat the shit out of him, and I think he's going to get on top and start dropping those elbows, and the ref's going to have to pull him off. So John Jones by 4th round TKO, and the rightful champ is going to have his belt back.
The GOAT.
All right, Dougie. Is it going to be a clean sweep with the finishes, or do you see this fight playing out differently?
No, I think John will dominate the fight and get a finish pretty early. I wonder if I remember at point he took that grappling match against Henderson, and at the time was saying he was totally inspired by Maya and wanted to fight like Maya because Maya hadn't been punched in like any fight for a really long time at that point. And if he honestly, and I've heard he's embraced grappling, like someone.
Did you see the video? The
belt or something?
Yeah, he's still going to training at a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and sits with all the students. Just got his blue belt and literally was honored, dude. He's like, I work from the ground up. I'm taking classes like everybody else, and this is an honor just to get his blue belt. So yeah, you're right. He's taking jiu-jitsu serious. Yeah.
So that all of a sudden, if he decides I don't want to get punched, I'm going to take this guy down and I'm going to sub him. And he's the type of guy that I could just see taking this guy down, putting him in arm triangle, and the fight's over. And it's all of a sudden we're that was 1 minute and 15 seconds. What just happened? Nobody even threw a punch. He ankle picked him, took him down, passed his guard, and moved straight down into that thing, and the fight was over. And he's dusting himself off. And I could see that, and looking real indifferent about it, meh. Next, give me a fight in 2 months.
That'd be awesome.
Do you think if he beats Cormier like that, he's really going to go out quietly, though?
No, but you know what I mean? Can't you see him being I'm going to do this Demi and Maya thing, and then doing it?
Yeah.
He
has the skills to do it.
That's like that. He will go take someone's game and make it better, and then because he's wrestling.
Yep.
He can take anybody down at any point from anywhere.
I can imagine him Darce choking every person on the planet.
Yeah.
Everyone.
9-inch arms or whatever. And you can't stop that stuff. And if he decides to lock that up immediately and snaps him down and goes to his back and Cormier turtles because he's a wrestler, he's gonna get choked out. Jones scary. Scary.
Yep. Motivated John Jones is not like motivated BJ Penn.
That's right.
Yeah.
Unmotivated John Jones is not like motivated BJ Penn.
Yep.
I got Cormier an A+, and Jones an A++. This is I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen Jones finish, an opponent in quite some time. I guess since the Chael fight. I think the last one. Could there be some ring rust? I mean, I guess anything's possible. You would think he's going to come into this fight motivated. Obviously, he has a grudge with Cormier. He doesn't want Cormier in his space and, kind of challenging his legacy. If he really is the best, which I think he is, he's going to win this fight, and he's going to want to do so convincingly. So, with these guys, I think Jones wins. And that's our second leg of our parlay. So our second 5dimes.eu bet of the week is John Jones and Jimmy Manuwa parlayed. Nushan, do you have the odds on that?
I am just grabbing that right now. It is plus 122.
There you go. Jones, Manuwa, plus 122.
Doggy bits.
Brad, since you missed the majority of the show, is there anything else you'd like to add on any of the earlier fights, or you're good?
I can't believe you guys are betting against Volkan Goatsdemir. No, I'm just based on the fact that I'm sitting at work trying to catch these Tuesday night fights. I think I'm going to limit all of my MMA watching moving forward to stuff that's on Fight Pass, regional cards like Access TV that move along at a really fast pace, and pay-per-views.
Smart.
Because the rest of it just takes too fucking long. I'll DVR it. I'll watch it later. But give me fights that happen rapid fire. It's awesome. The Tuesday night thing, I'm not sure how much you guys talked about it as you were doing the show, but that's what MMA should be. It's a fun thing to watch. And, for decent fights to be given a somewhat decent platform and show off like they have, I enjoy it. But as far as 214 goes, awesome main event. I'm going to be betting, awesome card, sorry. Awesome main event as well, but I think there's a couple props that I'm liking. I'm actually going to throw Manuwa by decision, Jones sub, Cyborg round 2, and another one to be determined, possibly Maya round 2, in a round robin. And those all pay like 500 and up. So if hit a couple of those, that'll make for a good night.
Yeah, me and Sean like that Cyborg round 2 as well.
Yeah, Tony Evinger's she's a tough dude.
Yes, she is.
Dougie would know.
Homie.
That's Dougie's dude, yeah.
That's Dougie's dude.
You think the UFC might bring in Laura Sanko to inspire Tony Evinger to victory?
Ooh.
Get a little post-fight kiss.
That could change the entire fucking fight right there, son.
Yeah. But other than that, good card.
That aligns with the Cosmos.
Anyways, it was a pleasure joining you guys for the limited period of time that I am available. And
always fun.
I'll be checking out the rest of the show as soon as I get home.
Whenever that may be.
Like an hour and a half.
We like it. Not bad at all. And with that, I think that's our show for this week. Big fight card this weekend. Obviously got a lot of bets and a lot of intriguing fights. So hope you all enjoyed them, and we'll be back next week.